Hi, Mystery Recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain an action series called Last Samurai Standing. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The show opens with a haunting event in which we see how 950 years of samurai history vanished in a single battle. The story takes place in Japan during the Boshin War, where we see a samurai named Shujiro and his men effortlessly taking down the enemies. Shujiro soon leads his forces to victory after beheading the enemy commander. His team begins celebrating and raising the white smoke signal to confirm their triumph, but their victory is short-lived when cannon fire suddenly erupts over the battlefield. A panicked Shujiro screams for his men to stand down, but soon everyone ends up dead, leaving him the only survivor. The scene then cuts to a decade later when Shujiro wakes up from this nightmare. It turns out that the new Meiji government now refers to samurai as shizoku and has taken away their privileges and official positions. To make matters worse, a cholera outbreak has swept the nation, and Shujiro's wife and his daughter are also infected with the disease, although his son is fine for now. So to get money for treatment, Shujiro takes his sword to a local merchant to sell, but the man refuses since these are banned by the government. But he shows some empathy to the former samurai and gives him some salt and sugar for free. These won't cure cholera, but they will make you fat. While returning home, Shujiro notices a crowd discussing an ad and discovers that someone is recruiting martial arts experts for a tournament. The meeting place is at Tenryūji Temple in Kyoto with a 100,000 yen prize for the winner. Shujiro takes the flyer, but when he returns home, his daughter soon passes away, leaving her parents utterly distraught. After they cremate her, Shujiro tells his wife that he has found a job opportunity that can protect their family and the entire village. She is a bit worried, so he promises that he won't fight with his sword unless he absolutely must. Following this, Shujiro heads off to Kyoto and eventually arrives at the temple where the meeting is scheduled. It turns out the announcement has attracted participants from all over the country, and there are a total of 292 participants. Not long after, an official named Enju appears and introduces the competition, which is a deadly game called Kodoku. He even shows them some of the fortune to prove that the reward is real and that they have a chance to win. He warns that once they commit, they cannot back out at any cost, so they still have a moment to opt out. Next, Enju gives them 30 seconds to leave, but the eager participants decide to join, driven by the lure of the reward money. Moments later, a police officer from Kyoto appears in front of them and asks for the game to be stopped. He demands to know who the organizer of this game is and plans to arrest them for breaking the sword ban. However, as the officer steps closer, Enju's right-hand man, Sakura, steps forward and slices his head off, leaving everyone horrified and in shock. Once everyone confirms their participation, Enju unveils a map and explains the rules. The 292 assembled samurai must travel from Kyoto to Tokyo. Along the way, there are 7 checkpoints, and to advance to the next stage, they must collect a specific number of wooden tags. The first checkpoint at the temple gates requires 2 tags, while ultimate victory in Tokyo requires 30. Following this, all the participants are given a wooden tag, and it turns out that to advance, they must collect more by killing others and taking their tags. They must wear the tag necklace at all times, and if anyone tries to remove it, they have 10 seconds to put it back on, or they will die. They cannot tell anyone outside the temple about the game, and they have a month to reach the final destination. Upon hearing this, many of the participants panic and try to flee. Squid Game! But they are instantly shot dead by the guards. Soon enough, the game begins, and the samurai descend into violence, slashing, stabbing, and claiming tags. Meanwhile, Shujiro's hands tremble from PTSD, and he does not attack anyone, but somehow defends himself. His eyes soon fall on a young girl in the crowd, who reminds him of his own daughter. He feels bad for the poor girl and thus approaches so that he can protect her. Later, they arrive at the yard and attempt to loot a tag from a fallen opponent. They take a defensive position near a torch tower when a sly competitor snatches a tag from the girl. The sniper aims at her, beginning a countdown, but Shujiro climbs up just in time to retrieve the crucial tag, while also snatching the opponent's. When a crowd of thugs tips the tower into a nearby pond, Shujiro leads the girl into a nearby house to hide. During this, the young girl introduces herself as Futaba and explains that she's here because she needs money for her mother's treatment. Shujiro orders her to stay close and promises that he will help her survive. They then notice a dead participant and try to take his tag, but suddenly another participant named Kyojin appears. He says he has no intention of killing them and even hands them the tag. Shujiro and Futaba then head outside, where they manage to leave the temple with enough tags to advance to the next round. They show their wooden tags to Enju, who congratulates them them and wishes them safe travels. Not far away, we see 4 VIP businessmen who are drinking and watching the competition for their entertainment. They soon receive a letter from the organizer which states that the samurai are relics, blinded by pride, and Kodoku is meant to let them destroy themselves before ending their saga for good. Meanwhile, Shujiro and Futaba manage to flee the town only to be confronted by a dangerous participant named Kanja. It turns out he has been waiting 10 years to kill Shujiro and calls him Kokushu, the manslayer. He lunges at Shujiro just as the screen shows that there are only 128 samurai left in the competition. Following this, the two men engage in an intense fight, drawing their swords at each other, which causes Futaba to panic and run away. We notice that Shujiro is still experiencing PTSD from the war, and his hands are shaking the entire time. After a lengthy fight, he eventually manages to overpower his opponent, but cannot bring himself to kill him. Kanja begins shouting at him just as Futaba returns with a horse, after which she and Shujiro ride away from the scene. Sometime later, the two arrive at an inn to spend the night, during which Shujiro advises Futaba to take off the tag in the morning and run away from the competition, but she refuses, saying that she desperately needs money for her sick mother and a group of village children who are suffering from cholera. However, their conversation is suddenly interrupted by the appearance of Kyojin, who helped them at the temple earlier. He then addresses Shujiro as Kokushu the manslayer, so the latter asks how he knows his name. Kyojin, however, ignores this and says he has come to propose an alliance. He states that according to his calculations, if 292 people started the game and 30 tags are needed at the final gates, then only 9 people will be able to survive all the way to Tokyo. But he doubts the validity of the game and warns that the organizers could have set up some kind of trick for the final level. He offers them the chance to team up, but Shujiro is skeptical of this stranger, so Kyojin gives him 3 nights to decide and invites him to meet him in the next city if he changes his mind. The scene then cuts to the next morning in Tokyo, where we see the Home Minister, Lord Okubo. He summons a meeting to address the incident at the temple, where a large gathering of samurai clans occurred. Since the samurai resent the new government, they suspect these people must be plotting some form of rebellion to destabilize the country. As a result, Lord Okubo assigns Kawaji, who is the head of the police bureau, to conduct a thorough investigation into the matter. Elsewhere, we see Kanja terrorizing a small village and killing hundreds of people, while demanding information about Shujiro. Meanwhile, we see Shujiro and Futaba come across a group of samurai who no longer want to participate in the competition. They reveal how much more experienced fighters took all their tags, leaving them with only what they originally had. We then notice a group of Kodoku soldiers with rifles, watching everything from a hill. Moments later, one of the samurai removes his tags, and nothing happens for a while. Shujiro begs him to put it back, but the man refuses, and soon the other samurai also follow his lead. Unfortunately, once the 10 seconds pass, the soldiers immediately open fire, killing everyone who violates the rules. Upon seeing this, Shujiro is horrified and begins to have flashbacks of his time in the war. Later, the soldier's commander approaches him and warns him not to remove the tag at any cost, but an angry Shujiro unexpectedly draws his sword and slices the commander's head. Other soldiers rush to attack him, but Shujiro fights flawlessly and kills every single one of them. Not far away, we see Sakura watching everything with amusement. He immediately reports this to the organizers, saying that Kokusho the manslayer has been awakened. At this moment, the screen shows that there are now only 117 participants left. The scene then cuts to a flashback of a place called Kyohachi-ryu School, which is known as the birthplace of swordsmanship. There are a total of 8 students brought together here by their master, and this includes Shujiro as well. They've been here for 10 years now, enduring the hardships of relentless training together. However, the time has come when the master must pass his position to the younger generation. To decide who is worthy of this honor, the master announces that they must kill one another, and only the one who survives in the end will become the new master. Next, the master gives them until tomorrow's sundown for the mission, which leaves all of the students shocked. They consider themselves to be siblings because they were brought here as orphans and grew up together. Iroha, who is the only female fighter in the academy, suggests that they run away, but the others refuse. It turns out the master's right-hand man, Gentosai, is an extremely dangerous individual who will likely kill them. Everyone reluctantly agrees to carry out the mission, and Iroha turns to Shujiro for advice, but he's also unsure of what to do. However, in the end, he decides he cannot go through with this and runs runs away from the academy. The scene then returns to the present, where the VIPs of the Kodoku game arrive at the luxurious mansion, from which they continue to monitor the competition. There they make a bet on who will overcome the second checkpoint located behind the Suzuku Pass. They laugh over the news of Shujiro killing 15 soldiers, but decide to let him continue participating since he is highly entertaining to them. Elsewhere, we see Shujiro and Futaba crossing a mountain path, during which he reveals that he is known as the Manslayer because of the countless number of people that he has slain. He also discusses his childhood and how he grew up with 7 siblings who were very close, despite not being related by blood. Shortly after, the two are attacked by twin samurai who are extremely dangerous and skilled warriors. They try to go after Futaba, who is an easy target, but Shujiro protects the young girl before the two of them escape together. Shortly after, the two end up in a ravine, and Shujiro immediately senses a trap. All of a sudden, a woman with spears attacks him, and it turns out to be none other than his sister, Iroha. She tries fighting her brother. As it turns out, she is also a participant. Iroha reveals that she has been searching for him for a long time, as she resents him for abandoning their siblings and running away. Shujiro begins apologizing just as they are once again attacked by the twin siblings. When they are about to fight, a group of samurai archers suddenly kills the twin samurai. Shujiro, Futaba, and Iroha try to escape, weaving through the rain of arrows aimed at them. Finally, the three are saved by another samurai archer who intercepts the enemy's arrows and kills all of them. The trio prepares to defend themselves, but the archer says he has no intention of killing them, as child killers are considered the greatest criminals in their culture. He assures Shujiro he won't attack them as long as Futaba is with them. After this incident, Shujiro grabs some tags from the dead and asks his sister to kill him when he reaches Tokyo. She agrees and says she will continue the journey with him because there is some unfinished business that he must do. Meanwhile, in Tokyo, Kawaji updates Lord Okobu on the ongoing events, including how the samurai are killing each other as they travel through the towns. He says there is evidence in the form of body parts and fragments of people found around Kyoto. They also learn that the samurai's final destination is Tokyo, suggesting a possible rebellion against the government. Lord Okubo is stunned by this and asks Kawaji to investigate the matter further and uncover who the mastermind behind all of this is. Back with Shujiro and the girls, they arrive at the checkpoint, where a few guards are waiting to inspect their wooden tags. The three have managed to collect enough tags, so they are finally allowed to pass. That night, they settle at an inn, where they come across Kyojin, who wants to join them. Shujiro also realizes that he needs allies to increase his chances of survival, and agrees to team up with him. After shaking hands, Kyojin states that he wants to uncover all the secrets behind the Kodoku game, so they won't have to kill each other. He promises to arrange an experiment in the morning and advises them to rest until then. Once they are alone, Shujiro finally gets the opportunity to talk with his sister and asks what happened at the academy after he fled. She then reveals that the master became afraid that the secrets of the academy could be exposed, so he tried to kill all of them. However, one of their brothers stood up to the master so at least his siblings could escape. Since then, they all became separated, and Gentosai, who is the right hand of the master, has been hunting them. Shujiro feels sad to hear this and apologizes to Iroha, promising that he will protect her. Not far away, we see a dangerous old man who comes across a group of samurai and immediately slashes each one of them within seconds. He turns out to be none other than Gentosai, who is also a participant in the game, searching for Shujiro, Iroha, and their siblings. The next day, Kawaji meets Lord Okubo with a report about the smuggling of 100 Snider rifles sent from England to Yokohama. The men behind this are identified, and it turns out they are the VIPs we've been seeing. They are all large and powerful families known to support the Meiji government. At this point, we realize that only 95 contestants remain in the game. The scene cuts to another flashback, where we see Iroha working as a knife thrower to entertain men, and she hates her life. One day, she comes across one of her brothers, Sansuke, and they are both overjoyed to see each other. Iroha explains that she has been hiding from Gentosai for a while, and Sansuke reveals that the old man has already killed 2 of their brothers. It turns out he is still searching for the remaining siblings and won't stop until he kills each one of them. But it's been like 30 years, which means he's shit at his job. In the present, Kyojin meets with Shujiro and his group, and they begin plotting what they must do next. Kyojin states he wants to experiment, so they must capture one of the participants and hand them over to the police. The purpose is to test whether the Kodoku soldiers will come after the samurai or not, even if they're in jail. And the second thing they need to do is find where the bodies of those dead people go. This is because they have been traveling for a while and haven't seen any dead bodies, despite people dying every day in the competition. Elsewhere in Tokyo, Kawaji reviews the records of the 4 officials and discovers they've been on extended leave for the past week. Lord Okubo orders Kawaji to act quickly and arrest them before it's too late. Meanwhile, the VIPs are warned that the Home Minister has learned about them, but but they don't worry, as they are confident the organizer of this game will protect them. In another scene, Shujiro and his group visit a tavern, but it quickly turns out to be a trap. Everyone there slams the doors shut, and a rich businessman, who is also a participant, has hired a group of thugs without revealing anything about the game. The businessman orders them to kill Shujiro and his group before seizing the wooden tags. However, despite their numbers, they are no match for our heroes, who effortlessly overpower each of them. In the end, Shujiro's group defeats them and also captures the businessman and another young participant named Shinosuke. Moments later, Shinosuke begins crying, saying he only joined the game to help his father's failing business. He also reveals that he hasn't killed anyone since joining the game, as he can't bring himself to hurt others. Kyojin feels sympathy for the young boy, so he decides to make him an ally and chooses the rich businessman to be bait. The plan is set in motion, and soon they alert some cops about the businessman, who has killed many people near a temple. The businessman is instantly arrested and taken to jail, while on the other hand, Shujiro pretends to be dead and lies on the roadside. The Kodoku soldiers also notice him and proceed to take him somewhere, while Futaba and Iroha begin following them. Not long after, two Kodoku soldiers in police uniforms arrive at the prison to interrogate the rich man. Kyojin also disguises himself as an officer and makes his way inside without raising any suspicion. The Kodoku soldiers waste no time before killing the businessman, which Kyojin observes from nearby. On the other hand, other Kodoku soldiers take the supposed dead body to a bank and dump it alongside a pile of other corpses on the floor. A soldier is left at the desk to take notes, where Shujiro steps forward and silently chokes him to death. He then inspects the nearby documents and discovers a large number of records for Mitsui Bank. Outside, Iroha and Futaba are also stunned and confused as to why all these bodies are being brought to a bank to be dumped. Meanwhile, at the prison, Kyojin is eventually discovered by the Kodoku soldiers, who call him by name. Elsewhere, Sakura arrives at the bank, and upon finding the dead body, calls Shujiro and asks him to come out. Shujiro soon reveals himself, and in a shocking twist, the two immediately recognize each other. It turns out they were once comrades during the Boshin War, but fate has now placed them on opposing sides. Elsewhere in Tokyo, Lord Okubo receives a report from his subordinate that the missing officials have been exchanging messages via telegram, and it appears that they are somewhere near Mount Fuji. The shocking part is that tracing the telegram signals leads straight back to their own police bureau. In a shocking twist, it is revealed that Kawaji is the mastermind behind the Kodoku game and the one who controls the VIPs. This leaves Lord Okubo feeling utterly betrayed, and he's unable to accept that his most trusted ally could deceive him. Meanwhile, Kawaji joins the VIPs and offers an apology for keeping them waiting. At this point, we learn that there are only 70 contestants left in the game. The scene then shifts to a flashback of the Boshin War, where we see Shujiro and his fellow samurai friends suddenly ambushed after claiming victory. Shockingly, it is revealed that Kawaji is the one who is responsible for firing the cannons. He shows no concern for his own troops, who are still on the battlefield, and kills everyone. Meanwhile, in the present, Kawaji sits in a meeting with the VIPs, expressing his deep-seated hatred for the samurai, whom he sees as foolish parasites. Elsewhere, Kyojin is in prison, engaging in combat with two Kodoku guards. However, he skillfully evades their attacks and makes his escape. Once outside, his disguise as an officer is exposed, which alerts the local police. He then approaches Shinosuke, and the two run away quickly before anyone can intervene. The scene then returns to Shujiro, who is locked in an intense duel with Sakura. Both fight with remarkable skill, exchanging blows and clashing swords. Suddenly, Iroha arrives to save her brother and throws a smoke bomb to create a diversion. Using the chaos, Shujiro manages to escape with his sister, leaving a frustrated Sakura behind. Meanwhile, in Tokyo, Lord Okubo is still in shock and feels deeply betrayed by Kawaji's treachery. His assistant then offers to analyze the telegram messages to uncover Kawaji's plan, to which Okubo agrees. After some time, Shujiro and his group gather to discuss their discoveries. They realize that the Kodoku soldiers are actually real police officers, but only members of the Central Police Bureau are involved, while local officers are completely unaware. This explains why the police at the temple in Kyoto was killed, and it also suggests that a high-ranking government official is orchestrating the game. The next morning, Shujiro sends a telegram to the Home Minister, aiming to relay crucial information to Okubo. He promises to disclose all the details of the event in exchange for the safety of a young girl, Futaba. An employee named Meijima receives the message and immediately delivers the news to Okubo. Meijima also reveals another critical piece of information. The Central Police Bureau is conducting field experiments involving over 150 officers. This revelation shocks Okubo and makes him realize the gravity of the situation. situation. Elsewhere, Shujiro and his group are seen crossing another checkpoint, and this time they each need 5 tags to pass. Everyone has the required number except Shinosuke, who doesn't have enough. He begins to cry, but the group continues forward, showing no concern, which shocks Futaba. She suggests that the others give some of their extra tags, but they are reluctant. However, when she starts to cry and gives the boy her own tag, everyone feels guilty and offers their extra tag each to Shinosuke to save him. Shortly after crossing the checkpoint, Kyojin tells the group that he and Shinosuke will separate from them since they're now wanted by the police. Meanwhile, we see that Kanja has slaughtered countless people and gathered more than enough tags, allowing him to pass through the checkpoint without any trouble. That evening, Lord Okubo's assistant finally manages to crack the telegram code and discovers that the encrypted messages use a European cipher, converting everything into English characters. He succeeds in decoding the text and rushes to warn the Home Minister before it's too late, but before he can reach Lord Okubo, he is intercepted by Enju, who also turns out to be a police officer. The assistant asks what they're really after, but Enju says that's none of his business and makes his henchmen mercilessly kill the poor guy. Shortly after, word reaches Kawaji that Shujiro has managed to contact the Home Minister. However, Kawaji doesn't seem too worried and decides he will let him play the game until he's eventually killed by someone. Elsewhere, Kyojin and Shinosuke run into 2 swordsmen, Sansuke and Shikura, in the woods, who immediately try to attack them, but Kyojin calms them down and instantly recognizes them as the former disciples of the Kyohachi Ryu school. The men are shocked by how he knows that, but Kyojin simply asks if they're looking for their siblings, Shujiro and Iroha. At this point, we learn that there are 63 participants left in the game. The scene flashes back to the Boshin War again, where we see Shujiro amidst the destruction in the aftermath of the cannon fire. He then notices another surviving enemy, who turns out to be none other than Kanja. He challenges Shujiro to kill him, but Shujiro, traumatized by the death of his comrades, has lost all will to fight. An enraged Kanja attacks, but Shujiro easily dodges and strikes him badly. However, he refuses to kill more people and walks away, while Kanja swears he will pursue Shujiro and kill him eventually. After this incident, Kanja is thrown into prison, where he spends the next 10 years gradually losing his mind. His life gains purpose only when Sakura arrives and offers him a chance to participate in the Kodoku game. Kanja eagerly agrees to join, and after being released, he immediately goes on a killing rampage and slaughters many people.
The game hasn't begun yet, Kanja.
Meanwhile, in the present, Lord Okubo recalls how, after the Boshin War, Kawaji pleaded with him to eliminate the remaining samurai. He expressed his fear of the samurai and requested permission to use firearms to secure the country's future. However, Okubo disagreed, believing that the government and the samurai could find a way to coexist. Okubo then imposed a ban on the use of katanas to curb the samurai threat. After remembering this discussion, Okubo sends a telegram to summon Kawaji for a meeting to discuss the future of the police bureau. Elsewhere, Shujiro and the girls arrive at a village where a grand festival is taking place. Futaba is thrilled to see the celebration and immediately joins in the festivities. Meanwhile, Iroha and Shujiro talk about their past, and Iroha bitterly admits that considering how her life turned out, she would have preferred to die back at the academy. Meanwhile, in the woods, Kyojin speaks with Sansuke and Shikura and warns them that their siblings are in danger because Gentosai is hunting them. He gives them the address of the festival, after which the 2 men immediately rush there. Shortly after, Iroha is enjoying herself at the festival when all of a sudden she spots Gentosai in the distance, which horrifies her. She quickly runs away without letting her brother know and weaves through the temple to confuse the old man, but he relentlessly pursues her and even kills a random person who gets in his way. At the same time, Kanja arrives at the festival and demands Shujiro fight to the death. Shujiro once again refuses, but Kanja soon takes Futaba hostage, leaving the samurai with no choice but to engage. The scene then cuts to the woods, where Iroha and Gentosai are locked in an intense battle. She fights with all her might, but the old man is incredibly skilled. It seems like all hope is lost, but at the last moment, her 2 brothers arrive and save her. The 3 of them team up against Gentosai, yet they still cannot defeat the formidable man. In the end, they somehow manage to subdue him and escape, though the old man remains determined to finish them off. At the same time, Shujiro is engaged in a brutal and bloody fight with Kanja at a festival filled with innocent citizens. Their battle quickly escalates when they reach a small hut stocked with fireworks and explosives. They continue causing havoc inside, and eventually the place catches fire. Regardless, the 2 continue fighting, and when the flames engulf the hut, they flee into a nearby river. The fight continues there, but in the end, Shujiro emerges victorious and pierces Kanja, who is already badly injured. Surprisingly, Kanja seems satisfied and claims that he is finally happy before collapsing dead in the water. The scene then cuts to Lord Okubo, who is heading to his meeting with Kawaji, but his carriage suddenly comes to a stop in a quiet area. He is approached by Sakura, and Okubo is stunned to realize the man is still alive. He wonders where Kawaji is, but Sakura says nothing and mercilessly ends his life. Meanwhile, Iroha speaks with her brothers and discusses that as long as Gentosai is alive, they will never be able to live in peace. They decide to gather all their surviving siblings and work together to finish off the old man. On the other hand, we see Kyojin unexpectedly meeting with Gentosai. He mocks the old man for failing to kill the siblings, even when he gave them the address. It turns out that all this time, Kyojin has been helping Gentosai hunt the siblings, which explains how he knows so much about them. In the next scene, the news of Lord Okubo's death spreads and shakes the entire nation. Shujiro meets an anonymous messenger who informs him that senior government official Lord Meiji has urgently summoned him to Tokyo. Shujiro thus hurries on his journey when he unexpectedly crosses paths with Kawaji without knowing his true identity or intentions. Soon enough, the VIPs also receive news of Okubo's death and begin rejoicing and celebrating, believing that now no one can stop them.